Everybody, I'm Maki Watanabe and I'm here again with Thiago Aranha,
Hello.
who produced Marvel United X-Men.
And we just got our first sample copy of the core box. And so we just opened it up to make sure that everything was in top shape for the backers, because this is the sample we get to basically approve the whole production to be packed and sent all over the world. And I'm glad to say that everything is looking good. So everything is being shipped to backers who got the two-wave expedited shipping. The first wave is being sent out now, and then everybody else will get it early next year. So I say we do a little unboxing and just have a look at this box.
Yes, let's do it. So Thiago, before we start with the unboxing, how was to work with Marvel United X-Men?
Well, after doing the original Marvel United, it was very interesting because when we did the first one, of course, we always want a game to do well, but we didn't know how it was going to do. So by the end of the campaign, like we knew that the campaign had done well, and we knew we had a good buzz about it. The game was being well received once we started working on the first wave. And so as soon as the campaign wrapped, we started looking into, okay, so of course, everybody during the first campaign, they asked, so what about X-Men? What about, the whole Marvel roster? That there's more than what we explored in the first campaign. So we knew that we could and should do a second campaign focused on the X-Men, and we started working on that right away. Like as soon as we wrapped on the first campaign, we started working on the designs and sculpts and game design and all that too, because this came out like in the heels of the first one. We were delivering around the same time as this Kickstarter was coming out. We were delivering the first Kickstarter, so it was like a lot of things coming together, and basically keeping that intensity, keeping the gang together, and just keeping it going.
Exciting.
Yeah, it was intense, and I think but the results were very good. I think it was a good choice to really strike while the iron is hot, basically, to keep going while we are still in that mindset of the first one. Just take what we learned from the first one, even like take the feedback as players receive the core box for the first wave, and incorporate any improvements and feedback from players into the second box, and just keep evolving the line from there. So without further ado, let's dive in. First off, we have the amazing cover with art by Edouard Guiton. He always exceeds expectations, and this was no exception, very dynamic. And we also, our graphic team with Mathieu Harlot, they also did something very nice about the design, because X-Men has this whole circular theme to it. So they kind of changed the graphic design to incorporate that circle with the axe, and it's the same basics as the original game, but with its own specific X-Men flavor.
And who designed it? Andrea
Right.
Chiarvesio?
Yeah, Andrea Carvezio and Eric Lang, and this time Ruger Ferseira, who was a developer on the first one, he was elevated to a full-blown designer on this one. He added a lot more contributions to this version, and also Marco Legato doing development. Yeah, the whole Italian team with Eric Lang giving that the seed of the idea and developing all those new mechanics.
Great.
So going in, we have a little leaflet, because you usually have the digital content. We're gonna have a new achievement booklet online for people to download, and some extra stuff. So we're always trying to keep the game alive online as well, besides the game you're playing. So very nice box. We have the characters on the side. I don't know how much you can see, the usual artwork on the sides. And well, rulebook. I believe the rulebook should be online for you guys to peruse. Not much change from the campaign, because actually when the campaign launched, we were basically done with the core box. We were sending it into production. That's why it's already coming out. So there's not much change there. I think the rulebook is just a few pages longer, basically on account of some of the new modes. So it's basically has everything that the original one had, plus some extra twists. There were a few tweaks to the rules, just based on feedback from the original rulebook, ironing out any little weird things people found in the original rulebook, but yeah, just an evolution of that.
And is this game fully compatible with the previous Marvel United?
Yeah, that's very important. It is fully compatible. Like all the new modes can be ported back to Marvel United, and the characters can be mixed and matched. The villains, like everything, is meant to be like one big crossover event.
Cool.
So bunch of tokens. So this first punch board, I think, is exactly like one of the punch boards from the original one, but then this one has a few new things. You have things like a Senator Kelly token, which is used by Mystique, and we have a Hunted token, which is used by Sabretooth, and yeah, just a few other mechanics, like there's a villain delayed and accelerated token just to help keep track of some specific things that happen in the game. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same as far as tokens. We have a very nice tray like we had on the first campaign, keeping everything nicely accommodated. Wow. Let's see. What do you like here? What do you want to tackle first?
Wow, let's see this one.
Yeah, Magneto. I think
Magneto is really nice.
I'll show off. Yeah, and yeah, this is actually. So I remember when we did the unboxing of the first campaign, which is around the time where this was about to be revealed and launched. We kind of teased the purple miniatures on that video, and we couldn't even talk about what they were at the time. Of course, as soon as that video came out, like everybody was spoiling it on articles online and whatnot. But yeah, so it is the whole anti-hero mode. So these are a couple characters, Magneto and Mystique, who can be played as either villains or as heroes, just giving you more options, adding more gameplay features to the game without actually adding a lot of extra material.
Very nice.
Let's see. We have the biggest guy in this box, Juggernaut. And the other villain, Sabretooth. And then we have all the heroes. And of course, same as the first one, we have like on the tray itself, we have the numbers that match the number of the base of the miniature. It matches a number on the tray slot, so you know where everything goes back to. Makes tearing down and putting things back up a bit easier. Wolverine, of course, in his action pose, and field leader of the X-Men, Cyclops, the de facto leader of the X-Men, Professor Xavier, Professor X, and Storm, and Jean Grey, and last but not least, Beast.
And is there any difference between these minis from the original core box?
I think the main difference is as we worked throughout the whole original campaign, we kind of explored more and more the scenic bases and the action poses. I think the characters became more and more dynamic, and this is something when we started, this one started from that point on. So even in the core box, you have like all these characters on very dynamic bases with flowing elements, and they're more floating and jumping. If you look at like Storm, flying on her cloud, and like it's very lifted. It's there's a lot more movement and action, and like those epic bases that you didn't see so much of this in the core box, because that's where we started, and we didn't know yet how far we could push that. But here I think we really went quite far on the core box, and then into the whole campaign with these amazing bases and action poses for the characters.
And what about this? What's this?
This little metallic cube. So this, we had a cube in the original box. This is the villain tracker. It's used. Some villains use it to track some abilities or completion of their goals. Actually, in this box, none of the villains do that, but because this is a core box, we had to have a tracker, so it's compatible with any other villains that have that feature. And in the original box, the cube was a translucent blue cube, kind of with that Tesseract look. But for X-Men, it wouldn't make sense to keep that same look, so we went with a metallic thing because the X-Men have this whole adamantium metal doors and all that. That's the X-Men kind of look. So we just thought it would be nice to have a nice shiny silver cube.
And how did you decide which characters would go into this box?
Yeah, this wasn't easy because, well, the X-Men roster is huge. So basically we started looking at the core of our X-Men focus was basically like that 90s cartoon, that era of the X-Men. So like we looked to those characters and that look of the characters. So we knew we had to have like Wolverine and Cyclops and Magneto. And then we kind of build the team around that. Of course, keeping in mind that we weren't doing just one box, we were going to do more boxes with the blue team, gold team. So we knew which characters we had to leave aside to be the leaders of those other teams. But here, this was a good roster to explore also the anti-hero mechanics. So we knew we need to have like Mystique and Magneto, which are like famous anti-heroes. They've gone back and forth a lot throughout the comics. Of course, if you think about the X-Men, basically every character has been on either side of the conflict. But to explore this mechanic, we wanted to pick the ones that are more known for being on both sides. And then also like having different looks for the characters. Like we knew we wanted to have like a big guy like Juggernaut, and then you have smaller people like Mystique and Jean Grey. So you have these different power levels, different strategies, like a brute, a more strategic guy. Of course, Professor X, like it's extremely different from Cyclops in terms of like what he does. He's not about action; he's about helping others and manipulating others. So just having a good variety of mechanics and looks and abilities and all that.
And which is your favorite mini?
My favorite mini, I think there's no dispute in regards to Magneto. Like this is an epic miniature floating there with this the iron rods, and you can even see like little bits of metal pieces flying around him. So like this set the bar very high from the very beginning to this whole line. Okay, now let's tuck in. So we have locations here, which is similar to the core box. Have 8 locations. Hangar Bay, the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning, X-Jet, Asteroid M, Weapon X Facility, Genosha, Sentinel Space Station, and Muir Island. As usual, each of them has its own ability that you can use, different quantities of thugs and civilians populating them, just bringing a general a variety to each game depending on which locations you use. We have our mission dashboard, which is the same as the original one, just to set the stage for your games. Then you have the villain dashboards. The new thing here is you have more villains with like a special setup on the back. That's something we explored more since the first game. That's not something only a few characters had that originally, but now more of them kind of play with different aspects of the game, so require a special setup. And there is the Supervillain mode, which we're going to talk more later. So each villain indicates the extra tokens that you give heroes when playing in that mode. And of course, each one has its own very specific things that they do. And because anybody who has played a game knows that like the villains, they are the core of the game that you're playing, because they change the basic rules. They give a whole different dynamic to what you're trying to do and which heroes make sense to bring to the fight, how long the game is, how complicated and or difficult the game is, because they're not the same thing. Yeah, villains are our bread and butter, so it's fun to have even more villains in this box than originally, because of the anti-hero, we now can have 4 villains and even more heroes, still just more stuff into the box. Well, we have all the villain cards, so yeah, all 4 villains, they each have their master plan deck and their threat cards, which go around. Yeah, maybe not a lot to show here as far as differences. Let me see some things that might stand out when we look at these cards. Yeah, we have some nice henchmen, especially with Mystique. Even some that eventually became full-fledged villains during the campaign, like Avalanche. Like he was never meant to be a villain, but because the campaign went so far and so well, it eventually became a full-fledged villain. So Avalanche and Destiny. Of course, Pyro from the beginning. We had the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants with him there. Toad as well. And then also Magneto also introduces something different, which is threats that require 4 heroic actions to fulfill. So they are very challenging threats. And also a very popular duo of the Maximoff twins, as well as Mastermind, who also became a full-fledged villain, and Blob. So these are our villains, and I think one of the most fun things to explore in this game is discovering how each villain plays, what little things they bring to the game. So I usually recommend people don't read through the cards before they play, and learn about them during play.
Okay, so tell us more about this supervillain mode you mentioned.
Yeah, this is basically like the main new thing we added to the game in this version. So basically, with the Supervillain mode, we add one more player to the game, who's playing as the villain against the heroes, who all unite against them. And so it changes a lot the dynamics of the game, because now you have a real player basically choosing which cards to play and how to react to the hero's actions. So it elevates the challenge of any of the villains. But we also, to make that mode more interesting, we added supervillain cards and superhero cards. So each side of the conflict gets some cards that are kept secret, and they allow them to like spring some surprise actions against the other side. Because the game is so much about open information, we had to add some more hidden things, so you didn't have full control over what's happening, and more surprises could come up. So like the supervillain could use like misdirection, and when they're adding like thugs and civilians, they could change where those civilians are added. So even if the heroes like somehow found out which cards are coming up, the villain could change the plan and make things in a different way. And in the same time, like the heroes they each have one secret card that they could use, like an ace in the hole. Like someone is being attacked and they're going to fall. Maybe they draw a card and they are able to jump to the rescue and save them. Like do those heroic moves that make the game more epic. So yeah, we have plenty of cards. We even added more during the Kickstarter to make it even more replayable and more varied. So yeah, that's Supervillain mode. And just to wrap up these cards, we have the usual challenges and the mission cards. Magneto uses the Use Cerebro challenge, which is a different mission that replaces the Rescue Civilians mission, in which you need to basically spend more moves and heroic actions as you play. And finally, here we have the hero cards. Again, more heroes than the last time because of the anti-heroes. We have a total of 8 heroes in this single box, and so a couple of new features to the heroes is, first off, some heroes have a starting hand card, and we made sure that when you see the cards, you easily identify whether your character has a starting hand card. So now, whenever playing a hero, first make sure to fan out your cards and just look for any card that stands out, so you know that this card, after you've shuffled your deck, this card needs to be at the top, so it will be in your starting hand. So this is a way to ensure that those natural abilities that the mutants have, they are always available throughout the game. So they start in your hand, and of course you can decide whether you play it or not, if you save it for later, if you play it right away. But this adds that extra element of a natural ability that those heroes have. And well, as always, we have like all the amazing artwork on on the card. Let me just show a few of them here. It's always fun to kind of propose these poses to really showcase each hero. Like the main things they do, like showing them attacking and being heroic, moving around, using any specific ability. So yeah, we have a lot of back and forth with the artists to come up with these artworks to represent the cards. Another thing is the heroes in general. We added more special abilities to the cards. So I think at least 4 cards have special abilities, and there's at least 2 versions of them. So they are more unique. They do more wild things, and just adding more fun to the game in general. And yeah, basically, so we have Storm, we have Professor X. It was interesting trying to come up with a more action-y card for Professor X, because he doesn't move around all that much. So it was fun to come up with him playing with Cerebro in a very action-oriented way. And of course, then you have him using his mind to do all kinds of different tricks. And Magneto, of course, Magneto can be played as a hero as well. And so we had all his usual matter manipulation and epic stances and floating around and using his powers. Beast, yeah, using both his brains and his brawn, which is what he's all about. We have Jean Grey. Yeah, this also has some very nice and dynamic uses of telepathy and telekinesis. Mystique, yes, Mystique has a very interesting starting hand card, which is the one that gives her main ability she's known for, which is transforming into other people, so she can pretend that she's like a thug or a henchman, and the damage goes to them. So basically sidetracking the villain, or she can just kick some ass. And last but not least, we have Cyclops with his laser beams. Well, not laser actually, they are optic blasts. And as expected, he will have leadership. He's the leader of the X-Men, so he helps the others do all they need to do. A lot to explore in this box. I don't want to show everything, just giving a glimpse of the kind of stuff you will find. As I said, I think the most fun thing is to see these things come up in play.
And how's the production of the other boxes?
Everything else, well, there's a lot of work, because this campaign was huge, like the number of expansions and promos and all that. It's a good thing we started early and we moved fast, because we are on track right now. I am not panicking. I hope I don't get to panic. It's nice not to panic. But yeah, we're wrapping up most of the expansions. Our development is fully done on everything. We're working on graphics. Almost all the graphics are done for the expansions. There's just like the promos and some extra stuff that we need to take care of. Molding is underway for all the miniatures. Like the amount of modes we need for this project is amazing, because of how complex the figures are, because they are all multi-part because of the action poses. So like we didn't want to hinder the look of them by reducing the number of parts. So they come pre-assembled, so nothing for you to worry about, but it's a big production. So we need to get started right away, so we will be ready in time for the final delivery.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. So I hope people who pledge for the 2-wave shipping, they should get their core box soon. I hope you enjoy it. And for the rest of everybody, next year you have to get to enjoy these goodies, and I hope you all like what you see.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Thiago, for explaining about Marvel United X-Men for us.
Okay.
And thank you, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.